What's up, everybody? I'm Mckenty. This is my second channel, and this is your home for my Twitch highlights and my podcast. So if you like this and you want to see more of that and you want to join the live streams, there's a link to that in the description of this video. And with that out of the way, let's get into it.
First thing we're going to talk about today is Chris Barnes versus Jamie Josta of Hatebreed and the whole genre of death metal. Which is kind of silly. Here's what happened. The beginning of all this is that there's this death metal roundtable that the organizers of Knotfest put on with Chase from Gatecreeper, Alex from Undeath, Trevor from Black Dahlia Murder, Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse, and Stay Puffed Mallow. I don't know who that is. I'm assuming that that is the host. If he is a death metal vocalist that I'm not aware of, shout out to him for having the least death metal name of all time. Either way, I didn't watch this, but Chris Barnes did. And for those who aren't familiar, Chris Barnes is the vocalist of a band called 6 Feet Under. He used to be the vocalist of Cannibal Corpse. And before we get into this, I think it's important for everyone to sort of know a little bit about Chris Barnes. So back in the day, back in the 90s, Chris Barnes era Cannibal Corpse was fucking sick, especially Tomb of the Mutilated and The Bleeding. This is from 92, I think, maybe 91. These are some of the sickest vocals in the game. Listen to Chris Barnes' vocals on this. They're insane. By today's standards, I guess they're nothing ridiculous, but by early 90s death metal standards, this was fucking nuts. Fucking love this song. I love everything about this song. So, like it said in the chat here, Barnes set the standards for ultra low growls. It's true. Whether you like Cannibal Corpse or not, whatever, it doesn't matter. The fact is that back in the day, Chris Barnes' vocals were some of the best in the game. Like, he was ridiculous. Super low, but also like powerful and articulate. I think he's a crazy person, but gotta respect his vocals back in the day. Would I consider that riff salad? Fuck no. That song is catchy as fuck. It's full of hooks. I would say that song is like the standard for death metal songwriting. That song is catchy as fuck. It is the opposite of riff salad. Fast forward about 20 years, and I don't know what happened. I really don't. I'm honestly baffled. Chris Barnes' vocals now, it's not like he's lost a step. Like, it sounds like he's dying or something. I hope he's not. It sounds like there's something like legitimately wrong with him. Listen to how bad his vocals are now.
To the darkness.
I mean, listen to this. Cold inside. Like, I'm not trying to mock the guy. This literally sounds like if you told like your normie cousin to like do death metal vocals, it sounds like what they would do. It sounds like he's dying is one of those things you could say about certain types of metal vocals and leave everyone confused on whether that's a compliment or not. Yeah, it depends on the tone. Like, dude, it sounds like he's dying. It's amazing. Or like, dude, it sounds like he's dying. Like, I'm worried. Sounds like an early 90s kid trying to do a vocal cover on the mic that came with his Dell desktop. Yes. I mean, listen to this. In all seriousness, I'm not trying to dunk on the guy. I legitimately don't understand what happened. Like, this band is on Metal Blade. They work with great producers. Obviously, this sounds like shit. I'm genuinely confused as to how there is nobody involved with this that like says we can't put this out. This is terrible, or pulls them aside and is like, dude, are you okay? Like, what is wrong? I don't know. Either way, this is where Chris Barnes stands now, and he's been out of Cannibal Corpse since 1996, I think. So 25 years he's been doing 6 Feet Under and keeps getting worse and worse and worse. On the other hand, here is the new Cannibal Corpse stuff with their, I mean, I was going to call him their new singer, Corpse Grinder, but he's been in the band for 25 years. He's been in the band longer than Chris Barnes was. Their current singer, Corpse Grinder. I mean, these guys have been a band for a long fucking time, and they still got it. Are they the most innovative, original band in the world? Probably not. But they sound great. Corpse Grinder is a beast. They're at the top of the fucking food chain in death metal for a reason, because they've been doing it that well for like 35 fucking years. With all of that being said, just so you understand sort of who Chris Barnes is and where he's coming from, after watching that death metal roundtable, he said, I just watched a death metal podcast on YouTube that was done a week ago with the quote-unquote top death metal vocalist. It made me physically ill. I despise what this genre has become. And then Jamie Josta, singer of Hatebreed, said, come on the podcast and discuss. As most of you probably know, Jamie has a very popular podcast called The Josta Show, and I assume he knows Chris. I mean, they must have toured together, and I mean, Jamie knows everyone, so I assume they know each other. And Chris says, no thanks, brother. I have no need to jump on that bandwagon. You guys got that. Josta replies, weak. Chris Barnes says, ain't here to play that game. You have fun though, bro. And then Josta says, you're the one playing games. You, quote unquote, hate what the genre has become, but do you ever promote or discuss new bands or try and help build anything in the genre? Chris Barnes says, LOL, promote, LOL, ha 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 ha. Chris, I don't think it's necessary to say LOL and ha 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 ha, one right after the other. I feel like you could choose either one of those and people would understand what you're trying to get across. Josta replies, all right, that's beneath you, LOL. And Chris says, nah, I'm just not a shill. And then he did not say this. This is a fake account. A fake Facebook page said every death metal singer sucks except me. I wish it was real. It's not. But that's sort of where it left off. It's just disappointing to see. My thoughts on this, Josta has the right attitude. And think about who has done more for the genre over the past, 15 or 20 years. Jamie Josta or Chris Barnes. A lot of people don't know this, but Jamie Josta has been into death metal for a very long time, since way before it was cool to be into that stuff in the hardcore scene. He had a label called Stillborn Records. He put out this band called Evolution and stuff. He was selling death metal CDs at hardcore shows in the 90s, way before it was cool to be into death metal and hardcore scene. He was the host of Headbangers Ball in the mid-2000s when that came back, which obviously was huge for the metal scene at the time. I feel like that's the whole reason why the new wave of American heavy metal, like Lamb of God, Chimera, Killswitch, God Forbid, like why all that stuff blew up is because of Headbangers Ball, and I'm sure Jamie had a lot of input on that. So it's sad to see the kind of elder statesmen of any genre turn into haters like this. Now, I do agree with this. From the chat. Oscar Wildboy says, I don't think anyone is obligated to do a lot for the genre, though. Obviously, it's great that people do, but it's also fine for a band or artist to just do their own thing in their own lane. I totally agree with that. Like, if someone's just like, hey, I'm not really here to like help the genre, like that's not my goal, I just want to do my thing, that's totally cool. What I have a problem with is when someone just turns into like this bitter hater trying to just tear down the new generation. If you don't want to be actively involved with building the next generation, that's totally cool. Not everyone wants to do that. I think it's awesome when people like Jamie or Travis Barker or Jacoby from Papa Roach do take an active role, but they're not obligated to. They do this because they want to, and it's awesome, but they're not obligated to. What's not cool is when someone like Chris Barnes, is just sitting on the sidelines telling everyone else that they suck, especially given, I don't want to talk shit, but especially given how much 6 Feet Under fucking sucks. The ironic part is that I would argue death metal is in a better place now than it has been in 25 years. This like new school, old school death metal shit, which I make fun of because obviously it's not the most innovative stuff in the world. Mostly bands just trying to sound like Incantation from the early 90s, but people are into it. It's relevant. There's fresh blood in the scene. People have this sort of idea that whatever genre died in, year X, and magically year X happens to be the year that they stop paying attention to it. Guess what, guys? Genres don't die. I make videos called, What Killed the Genre, because that is a catchy title, and they do have their ebbs and flows. But if you're paying attention, there's always cool shit happening, and just who wants to be this like bitter old man sitting on the sidelines talking shit about the younger generation, especially when the younger generation is actually doing shit that's really cool. For example, one of the bands in that roundtable, Gatecreeper, is fucking awesome. This is like one of the best fucking death metal songs I've heard in a long fucking time by Gatecreeper. It's called Rusted Gold. Let's listen to the whole thing because it's short. This shit is fucking savage. So good. If I heard this in 1993, I would have fucking loved this. Love that. And there's tons of other examples. I have a funny story about this band, Frozen Soul. We went to Chipotle for lunch maybe a month or two ago, and we saw these dudes wearing a bunch of like death metal merch there. And then I saw that they had like tour passes on, and I was like, oh, these guys must be in some band. So we looked, and we found out that it was Frozen Soul on their way from Seattle to Portland. I didn't talk to them because I don't know them, but they're good too. So anyway, my overall thoughts on this are as follows. First of all, I don't think anyone in 2022 really gives a shit what Chris Barnes thinks. I think everyone understands that he's just kind of off in Chris Barnes land, smoked too much weed for too long and it broke his brain. I don't know. So I don't know that anyone really cares that much about his opinion, but anytime I see this kind of thing of like the older generation hating on the younger generation, it bums me out. And if you see Chris Barnes acting this way and you're like, ew, like, yeah, that's cringe, just let this be a reminder to never be that person. I remember when I was a kid listening to Undertow and shit like that, like hardcore bands back then, and the older punk rockers telling me that shit sucks and it's too metal and you should listen to some real punk like Television or TSOL or whatever. And I was just like, what's your problem? Why can't you just let me like what I like? Why don't you guys like new music? I don't understand. I thought you guys were into music. Why do you hate everything? And at that young age, I realized I never want to be that person. I never want to be that bitter, crusty old person hating on the younger generation. So don't be that person, my friends. If you don't want to be actively involved in the scene anymore, that is totally cool. If you don't like what's going on, that's totally cool too. Just don't be that old person. That Principal Skinner meme, am I out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. Don't be that person. If you are not into it, that's totally fine, but don't let yourself become Chris Barnes. That is the moral of the story here.